everybody, and welcome to the WNX F1 show. This week we're going to be showcasing the Season 3 GP1 race at Bahrain, and my co-host today is going to be Shiraz. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hi, Pravus. It's nice to be back in the commentary team for this week's Round 4 race in Bahrain. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, we missed you last week, mate. Really looking forward to this one in Bahrain today. We've got a couple of different people on the video on boards this week as well. Tucker Harley, myself, and Josh. And this week we've also got some qualifying footage from Thimbot. And as always, we thank Crekkan for editing together all of these video on boards to make this show possible. Before we get into this week's news, let's have a little look at what happened last time out in China. And the Shanghai International Grand Prix is away. Crekkan gets a very good start. Pravus is bogged down off the line and he gets mugged by Fire Samuel. Instantly gets in front of him and stops him coming back up on the inside. There's so much contact here. Sam Jackson's gone off the track and Josh is spun. Wow. Josh is spun. And it's been hit by another car. Who hit him then?
Oh no! He's hit Samil.
Yeah, he hit Samil. That was very lucky for Samil. His JBPNE just hit the curb and he lost the rear end and went straight into the side of Crekkan. Whoa, that was a brilliant overtake. He got a bit sideways on the apex. Oh, a little lock up there puts him onto the AstroTurf, and that's going to gift first and second back to Andy Coybeil. Snipes just knows where to put his car and he just squeezes Pravus to the boundaries of the track. It gives Andy just enough space, squeezes him out just a little bit.
Good exit from that corner. He's got DRS. Josh is going defensive. It's going to take a really good move to go up the inside in turn one.
Sorry to put you off both fire on the last lap, and they're going to go over the line side by side. Fire Samuel takes the win here in China. China was one of the best races we've seen this season. Lots and lots of action. A few dramas too. Unfortunately, we saw some post-race penalties handed out after the race. JBPNE 89 was again under stewards review after he lost control of his car on the exit of turn 15 and drove it into the side of Crekkan's Force India. A 15-second penalty was issued to him after the race, demoting him from 10th to 12th. News release from the FIA this week details a couple of changes that will be introduced from the Spanish Grand Prix onwards. The stewards will now be taking into account game penalties when stewarding incidents. The stewards thought it unfair to be penalised twice for an incident and will now take the in-game penalty into account when issuing penalties in the future. Also, stewards will now be able to issue grid penalties instead of time penalties to keep the punishments more consistent and confined to the race they were for rather than rolling over into another weekend. Now, in GP2 this Sunday, there was yet again more drama when Phil Mack started a chain reaction that left the cars of Volts and Beaufort destroyed on the first lap. Let's have a little look at what happened.
Deep damage to the front wing.
That is the worst incident I have ever seen in Warrior Nation. What do you think to that, Shiraz?
Yeah, it was quite a comedic incident, full of a chain reaction. I mean, this Toro Rosso driver just cut straight across him, and obviously there was nothing he could do. He just span and got hit twice, and then just to top it all off, he got his tires blown off. I mean, we really should clamp down on that. Did he get a penalty for that incident?
Phil Mack was issued a 30-second penalty, I believe, for that. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think that's about fair. I mean, of course, I'm sure he didn't do it intentionally, but his driver awareness just needs to be there. And I know GP2 isn't the highest form of racing we have here, but still, you need to have that level of awareness in a racing car.
I think, to be fair to Phil Mack, this is probably this is the first incident he's ever been involved in stewarding-wise after a race, so uncharacteristic of Phil Mack, but unfortunately, because of the two cars were taken out, so I believe a 30-second penalty myself was probably about right. There was also coming together between two Sauber drivers again, and more arguments in the paddock following the race. Sauber declined to comment on this situation. Meanwhile, the pole position and the race win was yet again claimed by the dominating Schumacher IMA. He still leads the championship with 87 points, his closest rival Ferrari fan 21 points behind, but the Constructors looks to be wide open with only 16 points separating the top three drivers. There were some surprising results in GP100 last week as well. Cube 623 put his car on pole, but it was Fire Samuel who would be victorious come the end of the race. He finished ahead of the championship leader Crekkan to take the win, although Crekkan still leads the championship with 68 points. His closest rival, Andy Coybe, trails behind 28 points. This gives hope to the other drivers, hoping to secure the Drivers' Championship, that the mighty Crekkan can be beaten. Now that brings us neatly on to this week's driver bio. This week we're going to be taking a look at the career of Fire Samuel. Now, Fireman Sam is arguably one of the most impressive drivers Warrior Nation has seen in its entire history. He's had 38 starts and a whopping 10 wins. That means a staggering 1/4 of the races he's started, he's actually won. And if he didn't win them, he stood on the podium for most. 27 times he's stood on the podium since debuting in China Season 1, collecting 595 points in that time. And on top of all that, he's only 15 years old. Shiraz, what do you think about Fireman Sam?
I haven't heard him call that before, Fireman Sam. It's a really nice nickname, but
I'm starting that now.
Yeah, he's me and him have had some quite fascinating races in the past. I remember last season in Malaysia, 2 temps divided us as we went across the line. It was a really great racer, and I think he's rightly there to be one of the favourites for the championship at such a young age. That boy's got so much potential. I mean, I wouldn't write him off becoming a multiple world champion.
Well, you've raced with him a while now then. What's his racecraft like?
He's very, we were talking about racing incidents about a few of the other ones across the league, and Fire Samuel is one of those who's very methodical in his racecraft. I mean, he won't get in any scraps that will cost him seconds, and he's very good defensively, and when he's attacking, he makes sure that contact is kept to a minimum, and I have to say he's one of the cleanest drivers on the grid.
And the few races that I've had with him as well, I've got to agree with you there. But even after all those impressive figures, Samuel has never won a championship despite coming frustratingly close in Season 2. This season, Samuel has had a little bit of a troubled start. He didn't finish in Australia, but he did win in China, only by a whisper though. Things might be looking up for Fire Samuel, Shiraz.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't won a championship as yet, but he is at that young age, remember? I mean, he's got years ahead of him, and if he can just keep being as consistent as he is, I mean, a championship's bound to come his way. Bahrain will be an interesting one for him, because if he wants to close down the gap at the top and really put in a strong challenge early on this season, he's got to win this one.
Well, he's currently second in the Drivers' Championship with 43 points, just behind Crekkan this season. He's driving for Mercedes AMG F1, and I look forward to seeing what he can do today in Bahrain. Now, this is how the tables look then before Bahrain. Crekkan leads the drivers by 15 points over Fire Samuel. Pravis in third place, followed by Andy and Cube. Lotus lead the constructors by 17 points with Sauber in second. Today we're expecting a completely dry weekend, although not as hot as you might think with the cloud cover. That should help to keep the medium and the high compound tyres from getting the kind of thermal degradation we see here in Bahrain's 15-turn Sakhir circuit. As usual, we have 2 DRS zones, with the start-finish straight being the longest of the 2. It's a relatively easy track to set up for. It does have a tricky aero sector 2, but the amount of straights makes it a much better choice to set up the car for straight line speed over aero or low speed stability. At the top of the Season 2's podium stood Tuppers, Fire Samuel in second and Josh in third. The fastest race lap recorded was 1:33.474, recorded by Tuppers. Do you think we might see that broken here today, Shiraz?
Well, cars are faster this year. I mean, we've seen that in real F1. Whether that's translated in the game is yet to be seen. But it's interesting how you talk about thermal degradation. We know it's going to be a dry weekend here in Bahrain. That's, that's obvious. But the actual track temperature is going to make a huge difference, because running on the medium hard compound tyres, it's going to make a difference to how they're going to wear, because thermal degradation can play its part on these fragile Pirellis. I mean, I think we're looking for 2 stops, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're looking for 2 stops, judging by practicing strategies. It looks to be a 2-stop for this race, and the tyre wear looks really good actually. Probably one of the best circuits so far this season for tyre wear. That might mix it up even further.
Yeah, it will actually, because everyone's going to be on that same strategy, so it's just going to be down to raw race pace. Let's see how it pans out.
So let's head down to qualifying then, and Shiraz, you can talk us through the laps that we have to compare today.
Hello viewers and welcome to qualifying round Bahrain. Thinbot's on the left, Pravus on the right. Thinbot's jumping into the Mercedes for this weekend. So into turn one, have to pick your braking spot, and Pravus beautiful on the entry there, hugging that inside curve like his favourite granny, and up we go into this lovely section. Into turn four, we have to get the brakes on really tight for here, and let's see who's last for the late breakers. Pravus once again beautifully clipping that apex nice and early. Now that opens him up for this nice short straight into this fast flowing section. Now I think he's nailed that setup because this aerodynamic package on the Lotus car is working fantastically, as you can see him going purple. Once again lining up that apex to perfection. Now infamously known as one of the trickiest corners in F1. We get into this and Pravus a little bit wider on entry, and that's going to allow Thinbots a little bit to gain back on him into this long straight, because that's an important corner down this long back straight. Both of them using a considerable amount of curves, and we're into this final bit of the second sector, and you don't want to get too greedy on these curves because they will spit you out. Pravus once again setting purple sector into this off-camber corner. You really have to nail that one and get it slowed down, because otherwise you'll just understeer straight off the road. And now we hit into the last corner. Pravus and Thinbots taking exactly the same line. Thinbots has a little bit of a run from the car ahead. And where will these two finish? And that's the difference between 6 tenths.
Yeah, Pravus clinching pole position there with a 31.0. Thinbots' time is a 31.6. We've got Sam Jenks in second place, a tenth and a half off of the pole time, by Samuel in third. Now, looking at the top, well, the top 11 really, everybody's within thereabouts a second, but actually between 8 and 12, there's not much in it at all. This just proves that it is raw pace that's going to win around here, because the tyre wear's really good, there's lots and lots of straights, and it appears that everybody's got their cars set up pretty well. So we've got Thinbot in 5th, Josh in 6th, Mr. Tans in 7th, JVPNE in 8th, Tucker Harley in 9th, Andy in 10th. He's not usually that far down the field. I'd like to see what he's going to do in the race. Maybe he started on the prime tyre. Cube in 11th, and Shiraz, you're in 12th. How was your qualifying lap?
Yeah, it was a good run in qualifying. I set 32 on quite early in the session. I was 2 tenths up on my time, which would have put me close to Josh. We both ran on the prime tyres, but I couldn't actually complete the lap. So, you know, it's going to be all down to consistency around here. It's alright putting down 1 or 2 sectors, but can you keep that consistency up?
Well, let's have a look then, mate. Let's go down to start the race. No, I'll do that line again. What did you say? Can you keep the consistency up? Yeah, it's going to be all about the consistency here, because there aren't many corners that you can bring back that time. If you bugger it up in sector 1, you're going to carry that time all the way around the track. Okay, let's go down to the race then and see how everybody got on in the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Bahrain Grand Prix. Sitting on pole we have Pravus on the option tyres, Sam Jenks in second position. Very good qualifying from Sam Jenks, and we're on board with Tucker Harley here for the sitting on the grid. Turning that engine mixture up to rich mix for the beginning of this race. Look but never stare, and we're away at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Good start from all the drivers. Jump up on board Josh, and he's got a good start there, but let's see how he goes into turn 1. Now, you can see McLaren flying past him, and Pravus loses first position, and he gains it back, I believe, and Josh is fighting all over the place with his own teammate. It was McLaren, no team orders there, and Tucker Harley has lost a lot of positions, down to 10th position, and he's going to go into this corner. He's been hit on the side, and a Mercedes gone flying off. Was that Thinbots?
Yeah, I believe that was Thinbot there, a bit sideways. Not a good start for him.
And we're into this sharp right-hand turn, and Tucker side by side with Andy going into this tricky corner, one of the hardest in F1. People locking up left, right and centre. Dan Hall clipping the bollard. It's all happening here on lap 1.
And we got Thinbot disconnected there, so that's another DNF for Thinbot. That's his 4th DNF in 4 races, no points scored, and he's at the bottom of the table in the GP1 this season. That's it's not a good start to a championship.
Yeah, very frustrating for Thinbot. It's can be very, very horrible if you're a quick driver, and he did qualify in the top 5, so there's no doubts about that. But he has not been getting that car home, and Pravus leading into lap 1, and can he see this through? Can he just build that gap and get a Sebastian Vettel type lead? But he's going very defensive all the way up against the wall, against his own teammate. As we saw at McLaren, no team orders. Eric Boulier won't be liking this.
Yeah, Snipes just tries to go around the outside, but Pravus has definitely got the line there and just holds onto it and pushes Snipes back in second. But looks like Snipes has got a good drive out of the first turn, and he's going to make a lunge up the inside into turn 3.
And Snipes goes into that corner late on the brakes, and that's allowed Sam Jenks through in a little clip on the left rear of Sam Jenks' car. And these Pirellis are very sensitive. Oh, little love kiss there from Fire Smil on the back, just letting Pravus know that he's there. And another one, very easy to run into the back of people into that heavy braking zone. Cars with full fuel loads, people not really sure about where to brake as yet.
Yeah, Tucker Hardy's lost some time there as well and put him into the clutches of Dan Hall behind.
Yeah, Josh chasing this pack here. He started quite high, well, in 6th, so he's only lost 1 position. He's on the prime tyre, so we need to watch out for Josh on that prime tyre strategy, as HB Snipes is being attacked all over by Sam Jenks. It's going to be very interesting to this next couple of corners. No DRSs yet, but it's very long straights down here, and if one of them can get into the slipstream and nail it, they can really make... And Sam Jenks clips, goes into the back of HB Snipes, and perhaps he's got a penalty. He's going to have to serve that right now, and that's going to cost him bags of time as we see Josh attacking JB.
Yeah, with all the grid so close together on only the 3rd lap, this is going to be a race ruiner for Pravus. It's going to be damage limitation from here on in.
Yeah, JB trying to go around the outside of Josh, but he's just locked up his tyres, and we have the McLaren's line astern. Josh on the harder tyre, and Pravus, just putting too many wheels on that curve and running up the, kicking up the back end, just spinning that round. So not best first lap from Pravus.
No, he's going to be very frustrated in that Lotus. I believe he felt like a win was on the cards today. So
JB is snuck back past Josh. I'm not sure if I caught that on board. Did you see what happened?
No, I didn't. Oh, a little bit of contact there with JBPNE. I don't know how he got past, but Josh now has DRS, but so does JBPNE. So I don't think he's going to be able to gain on him and overtake him into this corner. So he'll just have to sit behind and be patient for now.
Yeah, Josh using all the tricks in the book, putting his car in the wing mirrors of JB, letting him know that he might go for the inside and then backing out at the last minute, putting that sense of doubt in JB's head. That's what Fernando Alonso does in real life. Very good tactics there from Josh. And we're on board with Tucker, who is in 7th and being chased by Andy down the inside. But he's not going to go for that corner because he's going to get DRS down this long straight. I think this should be a routine pass for Andy, and we see Josh flying past JB. And who's this on the outside?
On the inside, it's HB Snipes recovering from the spin that Sam Jenks caused. He was going to try and take both of them then, but he's they've both gone by JBPNE. Josh in 4th and HB Snipes in 5th now. Yes,
very ambitious from HB Snipes. Now, if he can just keep behind Josh, he can get the DRS into the middle sector. And we're back on board Tucker. Can he keep onto JB? He's on the option tyre, and as we can see on the screen there, his team wants him to pit lap 8, lap 9. So we're expecting these options to drop off the cliff around that time, but the primes we're hearing will lap to last 11. Last to lap 11. So very close in terms of the tyre wear, in terms of the hard and the medium tyres.
Yeah, and as we see on this graphic on Tucker Harley's, the rears are wearing more than the front tyres at this moment in time. The front right looks almost brand new. It's the rears that you've got to watch for here, because by lap 6, if you haven't taken care of the rears, then you're in for some sideways action come lap 9.
Yeah, Bahrain notorious for its rear limited track nature. Of course, there's a lot of stop and go corners here at Bahrain, and that puts a lot of load on the rear tyres. And we're following a car into the last corner. JB, a little bit of a lock-up. He's been doing that a lot, and if he's going to make those tyres last, he's got to be very careful on them as Tucker gets DRS just. Question is whether JB has it or not. If not, then he should close right in, and he is, but he's not going to be close enough to make the pass. He's just going to have to ghost him into the next couple of corners.
And we look on the graphic on the left-hand side on Tucker Harley's screen there, and we can see Pravus almost caught back up to the pack. But there's one lone dot just coming down the start-finish straight there. Is that you, Shiraz?
Yeah, I'm just hearing from the Force India crew. They had a very long pit stop with Shiraz because he crashed on the first lap into the barriers, and he lost his front wing and punctured a tyre, so that puts him right at the back, and we see Josh DRSing his teammate, not putting up much of a fight. Was that team orders there?
I think Mr. Tans knew that he was coming past, whether he liked it or not there. He was almost on the back of him even before the DRS activation point, so nice easy pass for Josh up into 3rd place on the prime tyre as well, so a really good strategy for Josh if he can just keep it all together. This might be a race win.
Yeah, it's a very interesting strategy. He's up into P3, and the two in front of him are on the option tyres, as is Pravus down in 13th, so he's got some chasing to do if he wants to make it up into the points right now, because he is right down there in 13th. Save goes for Shiraz. We can see that dot there in the back, just about 20 seconds off, so these two drivers, Shiraz and Pravus, are really going to have to put in some hot laps if they're going to make it anywhere near the points today.
And he's frustrated, Pravus, in his car. He's made another mistake there, and he'd almost caught Supla's Luke up. Oh, and a lock up. It's just going from bad to worse for Pravus.
Yeah, Pravus just needs to just head down and concentrate lap by lap, corner by corner, because it's going to be a long race, but we are at lap 7. Those tyres seem to be falling off the cliff. We heard reports that some drivers will be pitting on lap 8. Now, whether Pravus will come in one lap early, that remains to be seen. As we see Force India very wide. Now, that's LMG Killers. What happened there?
It looked like he made a little bit of a mistake going into that turn there, turn 14.
Yeah, a lot of drivers making mistakes on this. Seems to be a tricky track because a lot of drivers, and that's someone into the pits. I believe that's Dan. Now,
that was a late entry to the pits there, Shiraz. Did you see that?
Yeah, swinging right from the start-finish straight and into the pits. Was that the fastest line he was taking, or was that a late call? Will the team be ready with him with the tyres? I wonder what he's going to go on to.
I wonder if he's going to try the undercut, because there was almost 3 abreast down the main straight there. Jamie Hall and 2 of the cars in front of him. So I wonder if Dan thought, let's just get some new tyres on and undercut these cars, and then maybe I'll be in clean air when these guys are pit.
Yeah, very interesting call from Dan, because as you said, these guys are battling hard and they're on used option tyres. These tyres will be falling off the cliff, but Pravus is gaining tons on these two in front. So promising signs from Pravus if he can just keep it all together and keep those mistakes to a minimum.
I think we've just seen Tucker Harley off track there as well. He's made a huge mistake. He's had to engage the reverse gear to get back on track.
And Pravus down the inside. Both cars had DRS, and he didn't spot the braking point with his DRS open. It's too late on the brakes. He went straight off the track, and that's cost him in place. But he's still going to be in a good position come the start-finish straight.
Yeah, very disappointing to see this kind of driving from Pravus. He's usually very calm and collected. Sam Jenks now coming back through the field after making a pit stop. He's in 12th, just taking Tucker Harley in 11th. Tucker just holds the line nice there, though.
Oh, very close. What is Tucker doing? Are they both going into the pits? You'd have to double stack them, but the Williams driver of Sam Jenks pulls out at the last second. we're seeing a battle for teammates here this race in Bahrain, and who's that coming out in front of Pravus? Just behind him is Faisamil, so we have to remember Pravus is not pitted as yet, and this is holding on Faisamil, who should be going for the win.
And considering it's lap 9, these options should have dropped off by now. That graphic for the last 2 laps on Pravus's tyres really hasn't changed that much. So Pravus's tyre wear very, very good.
Yeah, if you can eke these tyres out to lap 9, as he has done, that's very impressive. We've seen cars pitting lap 7, lap 8. That's going to give him an advantage in the middle stint. Whether or not Faisamil can get past Pravus will be important for Faisamil's race, because he is racing for the win, and if he's going to be held up by Pravus, it's going to really affect his race.
Actually, Faisamil should have had DRS there, but Pravus is pulling away down this back straight.
Yeah, very interesting there, and there was a train of cars behind Pravus, so was there an accident? Because there's a big gap, as you can see on the mini-map, between Pravus, Faisamil and the chasing pack, so there must have been some contact there. And Pravus now switching to standard mix. Has he got the call from Lotus to come into the pits? And Faisamil, is he going to ruin Pravus's pit entry? That could have got very messy if Pravus was going for the pits, and he could have taken out Faisamil, but I think he might have lifted off. And we're into the pit stops here, getting the prime tyres on for the middle stint. 3.2 seconds, good work from Lotus lads, and we see a Force India of the LMG killers coming into the pits as well.
So it looks like Lotus may be doing a 2-stop for Pravus then? Maybe knock a stop off?
Yeah, Pravus is very good on his tyres, so I wouldn't be surprised if he makes this 2-stopper work to his advantage. We're on board with Josh, who's in the lead, but he makes a crucial mistake. I mean, every second's going to count, and he's on the prime tyre, so he hasn't pitted as yet. And he needs to get out close to Faisamil, who we saw was 14 seconds behind.
Tucker setting purple sectors now on a fresh set of options.
Yeah.
And Pravus is in front of him.
I think that's Pravus in front of him, who's also pitted. And the Force India you can see in the distance there, Shiraz, is yet to pit. I believe he's going to come in lap 11. So he might hold up these 2 cars on fresher tyres.
Now, theoretically, Tucker should be catching Pravus. Pravus is on the prime tyre, Tucker is on the options. But he's actually losing a bit of ground to Pravus now. Pravus has got his head switched on finally in this race.
Yeah, Pravus warming up to this race as it goes on. And some drivers are switching these tyres on faster and more effectively than others, as we saw in qualifying. The Pirelli is very sensitive, and driver style making a huge difference on how they perform.
Tucker's really attacking the track now, though, trying to catch Pravus. Did he get DRS this lap? Oh, he didn't. He was just outside of the 1 second, not 0.7 second.
And
7.7
Faisamil setting purple fastest lap of the race, so he's in nice clear air, and we know Josh would have been aiming to come in this lap, so let's see how far that gets the gap between Faisamil and Josh. And we've got Pravus really honing in on Shiraz. Shiraz on the used prime tyres, remember, and Pravus on the fresh prime tyres. So this is just a battle of tyres on the fresher rubber, and we're on board with Pravus. You can see closing on the braking zone. Shiraz keeping a nice apex, but those tyres are just giving him no traction.
Pravus should have DRS here then. If he keeps this nice and clean, he may make his way back up into 12.
Very good acceleration from the Force India. I wonder whether Shiraz used up all his curves, and Pravus will just be running dirtier. He's not going to like this one bit. This is an aerodynamic set of corners, and he's losing all this front end grip chasing Shiraz on the prime tyres. So will he go for the pass into this last corner?
He's got the speed. I think he braked a little bit earlier, then he lifted so that he could wait for the DRS.
And Shiraz going defensive. No, he's gone into the pit, so that clears Pravis up, and he's got DRS. This has just fallen straight into Pravis' hands. So the Force India pitting there, and I believe he's gone on to another set of prime tires. So trying to make this. Oh no, I'm hearing that he's gone on to the options. So it's going to make a 2-stop work, but that's going to be very difficult on 2 option tires.
Tucker Harley then behind Pravis, 11th place. Pravis in 10th place. Crucially, they got out in front of Cube 623. He's very fast usually, so I'm surprised he's down this far down the table. Shiraz.
Yeah, Cube having a quiet race. I haven't really seen much of him, and it's surprising for a driver of his ability to be down in 12th position. Whether that's down to contact or some other racing incidents, because everyone's had their pit stops now. So this is the racing order.
Well, he's saying that everybody's had the pit stops, but Josh is coming in for his first pit stop. Lap 13 to take these prime tyres off. He's in first position. I wonder whether he's going to filter back into the pack now.
3.1 seconds from the McLaren pit crew. One of the fastest we've seen today, and Josh, the last of people to pit, and he's really going to make these. He's really going to gain an advantage on this middle sector with his fresh tyres, and he's out behind the Lotus of HB Snipes and just behind his teammate, Mr. Tans. Now, if Josh can just keep it all together, he could have all 3 of them.
Yeah, he's on the faster tyre now, so as soon as this tyre's warmed up, Josh is going to be a lot quicker than the cars in front. And we say that Pravis sets the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:33.9. That's 5/10 off the fastest lap set by Tuppers last year. So by the end of this race, I think that record might be smashed.
Yeah, it's all going on in front of Josh. The Lotus team, the Lotus driver of HB Snipes, really going for it. And Mr. Tan's hanging back a little bit. Whether he's trying to line him up for DRS, it's yet to be seen, but all the cars have DRS except for the one leading, and we're back on board Pravis for some strange reason. I don't know why the race director cut to that, because it's getting quite interesting.
Another mistake from Pravis there.
And we're back on board with Josh, down the inside of his McLaren teammate, and very weird braking from Tans there, and look at that, wheels locked together, and Josh gets a better run, and once again Josh getting the upper hand on his teammate, and he's going to have DRS on HB Snipes, with onboard Pravis chasing down Cube for points. So Pravis is recovered now, and he's back up into the points.
I wonder how Cube got in front of him. I wonder if it was when he made that mistake.
Yeah, Pravis making a lot of mistakes, and as we say that, people lock up, and that's just straight into P3, and Pravis is going for it back on Cube. Cube on the faster tyres. Pravis around the outside, he can just keep it there, he'll have the position, and that is beautiful racecraft from these 2 drivers not to make any contact. And don't forget, Cube is still, no, he's backed off. Cube is backed off.
So Pravis on the slower tyre goes round the outside of Cube into turn 2. That was fantastic racing, superb driving from both of those
driver
2.
Awareness, top class there from the 2, avoiding contact, and that makes for the best spectacle, really. I mean, crashes obviously shock value, but if you want good, clean racing, these 2 are really showing what this league can produce.
He's going to be under pressure now with Cube though being on the faster tyre and having DRS down this straight. A bit of KERS abuse from Pravis. He's used all his KERS to keep in front.
Yeah, Pravis obviously thinking he was under threat from Cube, but I think without KERS, he would have still been able to keep ahead. Now, that will compromise him into the start-finish straight, because he won't have KERS to defend with, and he really needs to nail these last couple of corners to build up enough gap to not have Cube going down the inside into turn 1.
Little bit of rear spin in them from Pravis. He goes defensive down the start-finish straight, knowing Cube is going to have DRS. But Cube's not making any time. Oh, it's because Pravis' KERS are using yet again. Two-thirds of his KERS
Ooh.
used down the straight there to defend.
And that looked almost like contact because Cube was very late on the brakes, and as you can see, the proximity error is getting very close. Now, will he go for it down the inside? Pravus has not defended. He's left the door wide open, and that's just allowed Cube straight back down the inside. And I think that's going to be Cube's position. It's going to get very close. Cube leaving room. Very good racing there from the two drivers, leaving enough room for Pravus to get through unscathed, and Cube has the position. Will he run away on those fresher tyres?
Pravus should have DRS now, though. So he should be able to keep up with him back down to the start-finish straight as long as there's no mistakes. Cube, a little lock up there.
Yeah, but Pravus says use up all his KERS, or the majority of it, down the start-finish straight. And I think he's saving it once again for that start-finish straight. So Pravus making his mind up. That's where he's going to pass Cube. But Cube is on the faster tyres, and he might be able to build up a 1 second gap. But he's very greedy on entry there, and that's going to cost him time. Pravus is definitely going to get DRS on Cube.
Tucker Harley's still in the background then, not quite getting into the 1 second of Pravus to get DRS, but Pravus is not leaving him.
Yeah, these two battling is gifting it into the hands of Tucker. Now, can Tucker take advantage of that? Only 1.9 seconds behind. Pravus into the limiter. That Lotus not built for the overtaking on this race. I think they've geared that up for qualifying. That's why we saw Pravus on pole position.
I think they probably expected to be at the front of the grid today, not overtaking, so I don't think it's geared too long in the 7th gear.
Yeah, QB easily defending on the straight. And what's the news for Tucker?
Sorry, I was going to say Cube, actually. I said the wrong person, but 0.4 of a second between these two now. This is a good scrap over quite a few laps.
Yeah, now, it's going to be interesting to see when these two pit, because Pravus started on the options. I believe he pitted lap 9 for the prime tyres, so we're expecting him to come in lap 20 and put on another set of options. Now, he's got DRS. Cube defending on the inside. It's going to be very difficult to go around the outside of this corner. And as we can see, Cube keeping the position. Pravus, interestingly, has changed his strategy. He's got a full set of KERS.
Yeah, I think he's going to double KERS. He's down the start-finish straight here and make a real easy pass
very
on Cube.
strategic from Pravus, going to lean mixture, allowing Cube to be in front of him so that he can get DRS. And I believe he's going to put it into rich mixture now. And he's going to put it into full-on KERS. And he's danced around the outside of Cube. Beautiful move from Pravus, really thinking that one out.
Oh, there was contact from Cube there, and he's pushed Pravus off the track.
Oh my gosh.
Cube just...
And I think Cube's going to let him have that position because Cube just rammed straight into the back of him. Very late on that on the brakes, and that's going to cost the 2 time to Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker's caught up now, and yeah, Cube just backed off there, didn't he, and let Pravus compose himself and carry back on.
And HB Snipes is in P10, so despite Pravus, his teammate, having a shocker of a race, HB Snipes has managed to have an even worse one. What's going on at Lotus? Because they won 1-2 at one point.
I believe HB Snipes is option prime, so this would put him on for his 3rd set of tyres now. So I wonder if he's pitted from out of primes, not planning to.
Okay, so
stop
he's
again.
actually pitted for the last time, and he's on the prime tyres now. If he's going to make that last 12 laps, that's going to be very difficult. He's going to be falling off the cliff, and as we see, Cube, what happened there? Too greedy on the curb, and he's just gone straight flying into the wall.
Yeah, that was a real shame. He was having a real nice battle with Pravus, but that releases Pravus now into clean air. He's got Tucker too far to really put him under pressure. Cube disconnects, so DNF.
Yeah, too much contact to continue that. Too much damage to continue, and we see Tucker's into the pits. Right rear, Prime goes on. He's only going to have to make those tyres last 10 laps as opposed to Snipes. but Tucker much further down the field. Now he's outside the points, but as we saw with Cube has got a DNF. So can he nick 10th position? Jamie's come out. He come out just behind Jamie. Now whether Jamie's coming in for pits is yet to be seen. I haven't heard news from the Toro Rosso crew.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on that one, Shiraz. I would have thought he would have pit by now, though. He looks to be on the prime tyres. So I would have think this is now fighting for track position. Yeah,
everyone seems to have gone option prime, I believe. And we've got a lost connection. Now, Mr. Tans was fighting for it up in the points. So whether that was damage or a connection error, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's a real shame for Mr. Tans because this has been one of the best races so far this season for him, and he has some real pace around here.
Can Tucker get into the points because Cube has stopped and so has Mr. Tans, both running in the top 10. So will this allow Tucker's get into the top 10? And he's all over the back of Jamie. It's a beautiful scrap going on. Jamie wiggling all over the place. Down the inside, he goes into the last corner, and he would have got DRS because the DRS detection point is just before the entry to that last corner. So brilliant driving from Tucker. DRS, and because really wants to get into the points for P10.
By Samuel still leading the race then. Oh, Josh has got a bit sideways. He got too much of the curb and spun when he spun up the rears. Oh no, that's not good.
It's the second time Josh has done that in the race. I think it was the exact same moment he span at that infamous corner. And we're back on board with Josh. So he's gone into lean and he's into the pits, and he's one of the drivers who's going to finish the race on option tires, as we can see the McLaren crew putting the options onto that car, and it's only going to have to do 8 laps. So Josh will be flying this last sector. I can only think of Shiraz, who's on the same strategy as Pravus comes in as well. So he's going to go into the option. So 3 drivers going to be quick in this last sector. Last stint.
Pravus in 5th place at the moment. Shiraz 7th place at the moment. Shiraz in 8th. Oh, actually, Super Luke's just overtaken
Shiraz in the pits following Pravus in, and Super Luke. Ooh, very close. Pravus locking up. Didn't want to cause contact. There was a little bit. I hope he didn't get any damage from that. On board with Tucker chasing down Pravus. Tucker deep into the points in P9. This is good for him because he was in P13 at one point, so having a great race for Tucker. But Pravus will pull away from him now on those fresher option tyres.
So Pravus chasing down Super Luke then. He doesn't have DRS this lap, but Tucker does, so Tucker will be able to close up the gap, and hopefully Pravus won't be able to get away too much.
Yeah, Tucker DRSing, but not gaining too much from Pravus. Whether Pravus was using curves to defend, probably was, because he really does not want to be issued with Tucker. He wants to go and look forward deeper into the points finishes. He's obviously in 8th. Let's see how far Pravus can get into the points.
He should have DRS on Super Luke while looking at the gap between them this time. Can't quite see if his DRS flicked open or not.
Yeah, Pravus attacking Super Luke, and can't really see what's going on board from Tucker. And no, he's still behind Super Luke. I don't think he did get DRS because, as you can see from the gap there, it's not close enough to suggest he has been using DRS. And seeing Shiraz and Dan flick places on the top left there, so as Shiraz got past Dan Hall for 10th position, and it's a great drive from Shiraz from last on the grid to get back into the points.
Yeah, looking at the mini-map, these three now are fighting for 7th position, and it's probably going to be the best that any one of these drivers can possibly achieve in this race, judging by the gap up to 6th. Pravis locks up a little bit then and taps Super Luke yet again, but he will have DRS this time. Doesn't use Kurz though, interestingly. I think he's going to wait again and copy his strategy that he passed Cube with down the main straight.
Yeah, it was a successful strategy for Pravis, so why not go for it again? And Super Luke is looking like he's under pressure from the Lotus man. Very wiggly everywhere around the track, and obviously you want to keep the F1 cars in as straight as you can, and Pravis actually using a little bit of his curves to get really into that DRS zone, and he's going to use the rest here, and this should make for a routine pass on the DRS.
Yeah, Pravis is on the bubble, but actually Super Luke saw it coming, and I think he's used all of his own curves. These two are wheel to wheel into the first turn, and Suplas holds on.
Beautiful defensive driving there from Suplas. I mean,
concede.
I thought it was all over and done with once Pravis got DRS, but obviously Suplas Luke, great job defending. As we can see, Shiraz saying the fastest lap of the race, and Pravis oversteering, getting too greedy on that curb. Gotta watch out on these curbs, because as soon as you get on them and spin those rears up, you get a lot of oversteer. So as we can see, we've got Super Luke defending hard against Pravis. Pravis obviously on the faster tires is going to get DRS and Kurz. So this should make for a nice little battle into the final few corners, and Super Luke maintaining position, beautiful defensive driving. This is really frustrating Pravis, but he's only really got 7th place to fight for, because there's only 6 laps left, and as we can see on the mini map, as Pravis gets really aggressive on his curves once again. Back on board with Pravis, and he's chasing Super Luke into the final straight, and it's three-way race, because Tucker's caught right back onto these two, and Pravis getting a lot more this time than he was last lap, but once again running into the limiter, and Suplas is going to try it again round the outside, but as we can see, he goes too deep, and that allows Tucker straight through. And remember, Shiraz is still hovering 7.8 seconds behind, setting fastest laps, so it's all to play for the minor points.
Yeah, Pravis up into 7th, Tucker into 8th. That's Super Luke lost 2 positions. It's not good for him.
Yeah, Super Luke is going to struggle to get that back, because Pravis is going to, I think he's going to go into the distance on those option tyres. It's going to be a battle for P8, P9 and P10 between these two, and Shiraz behind, who's catching them on fresh options. So let's see if Pravis can get out of DRS range and actually pull a gap on these guys.
Well, he certainly pulled a gap on Tucker down that straight there.
Back on board with Josh. Now, Josh is on the option tyres. He's gone deep. He couldn't afford that. He was chasing down Faris Samil for the win. Too many errors there from Josh. I mean, he had it. He could easily go for the win. We skipped to lap 29, and 6 seconds separates the two. It's going to be it's going to be a win for Faris Samil.
Yeah, Fire Samuel wins the Bahrain Grand Prix, followed by Josh and Sam Jenks, and then Tucker, Harley and Pravis cross the line now. Pravis in 7th, Tucker, Harley in 8th.
So the podium positions taken from Faris Samil, Josh and Sam Jenks. Beautiful race from Sam Jenks. HB Snipes, of course, up there as well. So Lotus not having too bad of a weekend, recovering from their position with Pravis. Pravis finishing in 7th position, quite impressive.
Yeah, damage limitation for Pravis, and I think he did an okay job getting back up into 7th, so that's 18 points for the Lotus team. HB Snipes, yet again, eluded a podium so far this race. Andy Coy B started in 10th position, finishes in 5th, so that's a very good result for Andy Coy B. JBPNE, as usual, middle of the pack, 6th position finish. Tucker in 8th, Shiraz in 9th. So actually, damage control for Shiraz was very good. with his spin and being sort of almost half a minute behind in the first couple of laps, so finishing 10th and rounding off
Yeah,
the top 10.
sorry to interrupt you there, but Supless Luke, as we saw in the last couple of laps, he was losing a lot of time and very close, only 5 tenths between the two, so it must have been very hairy down to the last set of corners. Petronas nipping in front of Supless Luke for 2 points. Of course, he'd be interested in more than 2 points, but very good recovery race, and his teammate LMG Killers once again missing out on the points as we rounded off with Jamie on the Red Bull quite far back. So quite an interesting race from GPX drivers. And what's your final thoughts on the race, Pravis?
Well, it was difficult to top China. Last time out in China, we had a tremendous race. Quite a lot of action in this race. Not as much as we've seen elsewhere, but typically this track can be quite boring with so many straights in it. But
This was
it's been a really good race. It's been action packed. Yeah.
I know you've been keeping tabs on the fastest laps. Have you got any? Now that we've got the final results in, what's the news on the fastest laps?
Josh got the fastest lap, actually 32.3. So over a second faster than last year's fastest lap time. So that just about wraps it up then for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We will see you next time after the week's break for the Grand Prix of Catalonia. If that a driver is penalised, frick me, man. But even after all those impressive figures, Fire Samuel has never won a championship, despite coming frustratingly close in Season 2. This season, Samuel has had a troubled start. Well, I'll do that again. Today we're expecting a completely dry weekend, although not as hot as you might think with the cloud cover. That should help to keep the medium and hard compound tyres from getting the kind of thermal degradation we see here in Bahrain. 15 turn... That's got an apostrophe and an S, John.
Hello viewers and welcome to qualifying around the Bahrain Bud International Circuit. Okay, let's restart that.
Okay. Bud International, where is that?
India, isn't it?
Yeah. Aero or low speed Shit.
Let it out.
That's done then.